Art Fennell, and welcome to The Report. Today, an update to the saga of two mega stars in the music business who've been plastered all over the headlines. Theirs has been a torrid affair. On paper, though, it looked like the perfect match. He, a small-town kid from Virginia, she, a model beauty queen from Barbados. They followed their dreams and hit it big. But then came the collapse, the violent collapse. Of course, we're talking about the assault case involving Rihanna and Chris Brown. Brown is accused of violently beating Rihanna on February 8th. The Los Angeles District Attorney's Office has formally charged Brown on two separate counts of assault and related offenses. Both are felonies, and they range in a sentence anywhere from probation to 5 years in prison. We'll talk about that. The two stars both, though, burst onto the music scene back in 2005. Chris Brown, young and handsome and with the voice and the moves that the ladies love. Within the first 5 years of his career, he had become a multi-platinum recording artist, appeared in films, and established himself as one of music's most popular artists. Same can be said about Rihanna, former beauty queen and model, also a force that just could not be stopped. She, too, achieved platinum status, including 5 #1 songs since 2005. But then came the images of her beautiful face battered and bruised, allegedly, at the hands of Brown. We want to talk about this today, get the very latest on it, and joining me to have the discussion about Chris Brown and Rihanna, in this case, Damian Holbrook is here, senior writer for TV Guide magazine. Also here with me is Deborah King, an attorney and TV commentator. She's also the author of the book, Truth Heals. What you hide can hurt you. And thank you both for being here on the program today. This has certainly been a case that everyone has been talking about, and it just keeps going on and on and on because it's not resolved yet. Obviously, we know that. What can you guys tell me? You're the insiders. What's the latest as this stands legally right now?
Well, the latest, and this isn't a legal opinion, is that Rihanna's taken a position that, you know, either that other woman is out or we're out. And I think this is just news this morning. I personally think it's the greatest thing that could possibly happen to Rihanna. It might save her life.
Yeah, and I know right now that they're, taking a break, and they're on different coasts right now. So hopefully some of that space and some of that, the advice and counsel of her supporters will help her to make those decisions.
Well, taking a break, but at first, what puzzled everyone is that after this violent episode, they were back together.
But that's standard behavior for a victim of that kind of abuse. Actually, that's the normal. It is tragic, and it's a sad commentary on our society. But typically, someone who's been under that kind of control and abuse blames themselves and tells herself, you know what, I'm the only one that can save him because he loves me.
Right. And also, after the reports came out that they were back together, and we only saw photos of him. There was a lot of talk about they were back together. They were, relaxing at Diddy's compound down in Miami. We only saw him jet skiing. We did not see those two together. We didn't see any even long lens shots of those two on a balcony or anything. So, there's still some speculation that this is all part of his camp's maneuvers to make it seem like they're working on it.
Well, there's speculation all throughout this case. I mean, because there are things that we think we know, and then there are things that we hope we know. That's part of the official documents. And I have the affidavit here from the state of California, from the county of Los Angeles. And for people who haven't heard some of the real details in this thing, it was quite an episode. And I want to just go through a couple of them. I want to get you guys' reaction to this, and I certainly have some questions for you. And we've selected a couple of quotes from this. But before I begin, obviously this was an episode that started in a car on February 8th. Do we know where they were driving? I don't know if it's even important.
They were coming back from a pre-Grammy party. I believe it was the Clive Davis Gala that he has every year, where he has all of the hot performers as guests and some performing. I believe they were leaving that, and that's why that they weren't at the Grammys the next night, obviously.
And that's when the text came that everyone has made so much of. This text from another woman, apparently, that it is alleged that Brown had a sexual relationship with. Rihanna took offense to this text. They got into an episode, and then he pulled over, as I understand it, according to the affidavit, and tried to force her out of the car. And when she wouldn't get out of the car, this is what happened. And let me begin now to read you some of the quotes from this. And by the way, this is from the actual affidavit. It says Robin F., because we should tell you her official name is Robin Rihanna Fenty. And so this says Robin F. turned to face Brown, and he punched her in the left eye with his right hand. He then drove away in the vehicle and continued to punch her in the face with his right hand while steering the vehicle with his left hand. The assault caused Robin F.'s mouth to fill with blood and blood to splatter all over her clothing and the interior of the vehicle. Brown looked at Robin F. and stated, "I'm going to beat the expletive out of you when we get home. You wait and see." Okay, that's the first quote. Let me just stop right there for a minute. And again, this is from the affidavit. One of the things that struck me was how quickly this turned from an argument to violence.
Well, again,
what do you want to say about that?
This is the history of this sort of domestic violence. There's always 3 stages, and it starts verbal, and then it becomes an assault, threats of violence, and then the 3rd stage is actual violence.
Well, the actual violence certainly came. Damian, you want to jump in?
Well, it seems like this is probably not the first time
Absolutely.
there was violence. I mean, if it escalated that quickly, this is like their jumping off point was months before this.
Well, it continued to escalate because obviously now they're in a physical altercation in the car. This is when the whole thing with the telephone comes out, where she grabs her cell phone, tries to make a call, and apparently the call didn't go through, but she pretended that it did go through to someone to call the
trying to protect
authorities.
herself.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
The fake phone call.
The fake phone call. So that drives us to the next point in the quote here. Let's go to the next screen as we continue. It says, Brown did not know what she had did with the keys, and began punching her in the face and arms, because he had pulled over again, I should say, and apparently she had taken the keys out of the ignition and had possession of them. Brown didn't know what she did with the keys and began punching her in the face and arms. He then placed her in a headlock, positioning the front of her throat between his bicep and forearm. Brown began applying pressure to Robin F.'s left and right carotid arteries, causing her to be unable to breathe, and she began to lose consciousness. She reached up with her left hand and began attempting to gouge his eyes in an attempt to free herself.
Trying to save her life.
Yes.
My God.
It
Fighting
goes on
for
to
her
say,
life.
Brown bit her left ring and middle fingers and then released her. So he's a biter, apparently, according to this affidavit.
And he also bit her ears, I believe, later on, or one of her ears, and it's just hideous.
Well, the really shocking thing, and this is why, as Oprah said, it's such a teachable moment, is this goes on all the time. This is not uncommon behavior. 34% of all women in the U.S. who are killed by their intimate lover, their partner. 34%. I mean, that's a really high statistic.
It's a shocking number.